Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So we'll continue our study of Sri Brahma Samhita from the commentary written by His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. So we'll start with our prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So let me share my screen. Okay. So we did complete last time text 36 from the Brahmaji's prayers, what he's offering to Krishna. And we'll continue with a very beautiful verse, such a deep verse, text 37. So it goes like this. Ānanda-cinmaya-rasa-pratibhāvitābhis tābhir ever nija-rūpatayā kalābhiḥ Goloka eva nivasaty akhilātma-bhūto govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi. I'll read the translation and then we'll go back to the verse. I worship the primeval Lord residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radhā resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in company of her confidants or sakhīs, embodiment of extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by her ever-blissful spiritual rasa. So one may think that, okay, in the translation, it is written that, oh, it is the interaction between Radhā-Rañjana and her energy or her expansions, the gopis, and how they are serving Krishna and how they are enjoying that rasa, ānanda-cinmaya-rasa. So let's go to the verse and say this. So it says, ānanda-cinmaya-rasa. So the rasa in Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual abode, the highest spiritual planet in the spiritual planetary system, where Krishna is eternally enjoying these pastimes or this rasa melo with Srimati Radharani and her expansions, the gopis, unlimited gopis there. And they are pratibhāvitābhis. Prati means Srila Jiva Goswami explains this word in two ways. Here it is translated as every second. So all the time, eternally. So they are Krishna and the Radharani and the gopis, which are her expansions of the same quality as her, are exchanging that melo of rasa, ānanda-cinmaya-rasa, or love that they are eternally experiencing them. And it is also mentioned, Jiva Goswami writes in its commentary that Prati is also, they are non-different than him. So they are also as his, in the next line it comes, nija-rūpatayā kalābhiḥ. So they are his immediate expansions. So Radharani is Krishna's Hladini potency or the pleasure potency, Hladini energy, Hladini Shakti. So which is giving pleasure, and there is in the rasa of love that is eternally flowing between Radharani, Krishna, and all the gopis are supporting that. Is we cannot imagine that. So pratibhāvitābhis, so that is they are continuously always engaged in that bhavita. So that rasa or the melo, and then tābhir eva nija-rūpatayā kalābhiḥ, and they are none other than his own expansions. So Krishna is enjoying this melo or this ānanda-cinmaya-rasa with Radharani and the gopis, who are none other than his own expansions, his own kala. So we read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Amsha and Kala. So Krishna is called Amshi. So he is not expansion of anybody. He is the original Purusha. He is the original enjoyer, Purushottama. As Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam, Purusham Shashvatam. So he's Shashvata Purush. He's the original Purusha. He is not expansion of anyone, but everything or all the incarnations, be they different kinds of incarnations or even the Hladini potency, they are his expansions. And Hladini potency, Radharani, is one of his immediate expansions, nija-rūpatayā kalābhiḥ. So they are not none other than his own forms. And they are his expansions as well as the parts and parcels. So Radharani is his immediate expansion, and she further expands into unlimited gopis, which are same as her quality, and they are supporting in that Ananda Rasa between Radharani and Krishna. So tābhir eva nija-rūpatayā. So they are his original rupa. And Sri Jiva Goswami also mentions about nija-rūpa, that these gopis and Radharani are actually Krishna's wives in Goloka Vrindavan. In the spiritual abode, in the Goloka Vrindavan, they are his wives. That is, from our point of view, that is called aprakata energy or the unmanifested pastime. So in that aprakata pastime, they are eternally his wives. But in prakata, in Bhauma Vrindavan, when they appear by Maya Shakti, by the covering of Maya, they become wives of others, and they are still eternally wanting association of Krishna. And because that rasa is much, much deeper than that of to their husband. So, but in the Goloka Vrindavan, they are eternally his wives. And then further it says, Goloka eva nivasaty akhilātma-bhūto. And these all pastimes are manifested in the spiritual kingdom or in the spiritual abode, Goloka Vrindavan, eternally. And these are experienced, or these are performed by akhilātma-bhūto, one who is soul of all the souls, and who eternally exist with the gopis and Radharani in the spiritual abode called Goloka Vrindavan. So now here we'll read the translation again. To that Govinda, Brahma is saying, Govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ tam ahaṁ bhajāmi. To that Govinda who is eternally enjoying that ānanda-cinmaya-rasa with Radharani and the gopis in spiritual kingdom or the spiritual highest spiritual abode called Goloka Vrindavan, to that Krishna, ādi-puruṣa or Govinda, I offer my obeisances. So here he says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm Goloka. Goloka eva nivasaty. And with Radha. So if you see in the verse, there is no direct mention of Radharani, but it is the immediate expansion, the pleasure potency of Krishna is Radharani, and her pleasure, her expansions, which are eternally serving in that rasa also. So who is resembling his own spiritual figure? She is none other than Krishna, and she is the expansion, the pleasure potency of Krishna himself. the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of 64 artistic activities. So Krishna is full in all 64 kala or arts. So they are listed in the purport here. So as time permits, we'll go through them. So this energy is also possessed of 64 artistic qualities. And is she serving or she enjoying rasa with Krishna alone? No. So in her company, in the company of her confidants, her immediate expansions or her sakhīs, who are none other than embodiments of the expansions of her bodily form. So they are none other than expansions of Radharani. All these gopis who are Krishna enjoying these pastimes with the gopis and Radharani. So all these gopis are none other than embodiment of extensions of her bodily form. And how are they? Permeated and vitalized by his ever-blissful spiritual rasa. Permeated means they are completely filled with that ānanda-cinmaya-rasa. And also vitalized, they are energized by that love for him. And when the permeated, it means that if you think of a sponge, when you dip in water, press it, and then leave it, and if you bring it out, then water is permeated in every pore of that sponge. Water is completely filled in every corner inside, completely inside that sponge. So even you accidentally touch it little bit, water comes out of it. It is so filled with that water that it will come out even if a little touch, or forget about pressing it, even with little touch, it will wet the whatever it is touching. In the same manner, the heart of these gopis and Radharani is so much filled with love for Krishna that it is pouring out of their heart. So that's what it is, permeated. It is filled in them fully, in their all parts of the body. So that's how this rasa is, they are completely filled with that rasa or madhurya rasa or shingara rasa for Krishna. And the energy, and who is this coming from? By his ever blissful spiritual rasa. So it is also Krishna's rasa. So the love that is experienced by Radharani and gopis for Krishna is also coming from Krishna's spiritual rasa. That spiritual mellow or the spiritual love for Krishna. So that is there. So let's read a few parts of the first few lines of purport, and we'll expand on that. So although Lord absolute and his potency, so are this Krishna and his potency, Radharani, are one and the self same existence, still they eternally are separate entities as Radha and Krishna. So they are one and the same at the same time, but they eternally exist separate to experience that love relationship, experience that rasa of love between Radharani and Krishna. So they eternally exist as separate entities. In both the ecstatic energy, again, this is nothing but Radharani, and the transcendental Lord Krishna, there exists Shringara rasa or amorous love, which we also call as Madhurya rasa. So that rasa, whose quality is inconceivable, that we cannot even imagine or perceive in this material world. When we think of love, that's what we talked about in past couple of verses also. The love what we call in this material world is, we cannot experience that. That is mostly lust, which we try to satisfy our own senses through the medium of someone else. That's what we call love here. But the love in the spiritual world is inconceivable. That is, we cannot perceive or we cannot imagine here. And that is called vibhava. The vibhava or extension of that love of that rasa or mellow quality is of twofold. And they are called as alambana, that means in which that love is experienced or the prop, and uddipana, or the external things by which that love is aroused or it increased. So alambana and uddipana or stimulation. Of these, alambana is twofold, that is ashraya, the supported or by whom the love is experienced, and vishaya, about whom that love is experienced, or the supporter. And ashraya signifies the Radhika herself. So Radharani and the gopis actually. So Radharani and gopis, they are the one who are experiencing that love for Krishna. So they are the ashraya of that bhava or vibhava, that love. And Krishna is their object of love. So he is Vishaya. So Krishna is their Vishaya or object of love. So her own form, and Vishaya means Krishna himself. So how do we, even in material world, when we talk about sukha, the so-called sukha or the happiness we try to enjoy, the living entities are trying to enjoy because of their enviousness with Krishna. So they are also trying to enjoy that sukha. But unfortunately, we have changed the real Vishaya about whom we should feel love for, and we have changed that Vishaya in some material object. And that's what in the Shastra it is said that we are all trying to enjoy Vishaya Sukha. So the real Vishaya Sukha, in real Vishaya Sukha, Vishaya is always Krishna. So the object of love is for all living entities is always Krishna. And that highest form of love is in Radharani. And that's why her object of love is always Krishna. But because we are envious of Krishna, we have changed that object of love and we are trying to find that love in material objects or the living entities here, and through which we actually want to enjoy our senses. But in reality, our senses are only satisfied when our object of love becomes Krishna. So that's what it is here. So Krishna himself is object of love. So even in material point of view, if to understand this alambana, ashraya, and vishaya or uddipana, all these terms, let's go to in one of the verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita, these words are explained here, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining this to Sanatana Goswami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining what is love for Krishna or how the devotional love is achieved, and he explains it in much detail. But in one of the verses, he explains about this vibhava, alambana, and uddipana, where he says, Dvividha Vibhava. So Vibhava means the highest form of love for Krishna is of two parts. It's divided into two parts. Dvividha Vibhava. What are they? Alambana, Uddipana. So those are the same two words that Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur uses in his purport. Vamshi Swaradi Uddipana. And the examples he gives is Vamshi Smaradi means the flute sound or any object that reminds of us of Krishna or that reminds Radharani and gopis of Krishna, they are called Uddipana. Because by just seeing those objects, their love for Krishna is aroused. And Krishnadi Alambana. And Krishna and Radharani and Gopi Adi are Alambana. So those who are all actually experiencing that love are called alambana, and the objects, external objects by which that love is aroused are called uddipana. Just to take an example, so let's take an example in material world. So let's say mother's love for her child. So the Vishaya for mother is her child. She is experiencing love for her child, and she is the ashraya or support. And whenever there is exchange between those two, or loving exchange between mother and the child, that, so both of them are alambana. And any object, so if the child goes away for some reason, and when mother is working and she finds any object, let's say she even takes out his shoes, she's cleaning and she finds her shoes, so that shoe is reminding her of her son, and it is increasing her love for her son. So that shoe is uddipana, because that shoe is the object which is at that moment arousing her love for her son. In the same manner, there are different objects in Vrindavan, just like Vamshi Swara, his flute, or even the sound of his flute, when Krishna is playing his flute. So that sound of flute is when the gopis and Radharani hear that sound, that increases or that arouses their love for Krishna. And that's why they are an example of Uddipana. So in the purport, Prabhupada gives some references from Agni Puran and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu to explain these terms further. So in Agni Puran, it is said that it explains about Vibhava and how these two are parts of Vibhava. Vibhavayate hirati adir yatra ena vibhavate vibhavo nama sadvedha. So Vibhava is what? By which rati adir, the love is experienced. So that love is Vibhava. And for love, there are always two persons. One is the beloved and one is the lover. So in this case, Krishna and Radharani and gopis. So those two are, so the love exchange between the two is called Vibhava. And Vibhava has Vibhava Nama say Dvedha. There are two parts in Vibhava also. What are the? So Alambano Dipana Atmaka. So Alambana and Uddipana about Atmaka, about them. So here it says, that which causes love for Krishna to appear is called Vibhava. And it has two divisions, Alambana, in which love appears. So where does love appear? In Krishna and the Radharani and gopis. So that is Alambana. And Uddipana, by which love appears. So the objects by which love appears in the heart of gopis about Krishna. Or same, vice versa, about even Krishna, when he sees something about Radharani that reminds him of Radharani, that arouses love for Radharani in his heart. So, and then it explains further about Alambana and Uddipana. So, Krishnascha Krishna Bhaktascha Buddhir Alambana Mata. So, Krishna and Krishna Bhakta, these two. So, the Krishna is the object of love and Krishna Bhakta are the lovers. So, in this case, in the Brahma Samhita verse, what we are reading is Gopi and Radharani. So, Buddhir Alambana Mata, they are called Alambana. And Rati Ader Vishayatvena Tatha Adhar Upayatiya Cha. So Rati Ader. So, and the love for them is Vishaya. So, for who is the object of love? That is called Vishaya. So, Alambana is further divided into two, we saw. So, Krishna is the Vishaya and Tatha, one who is experiencing, Tatha Adhara Yatyapicha. So, Adhara and Vishaya. So, Adhara is Radharani and gopis who are experiencing love for Krishna, and Krishna is Vishaya. So, Alambana is further divided into two. So, the object of love or Vishaya is Krishna, and the container of that love, so one whose heart is filled with love for Krishna, is the devotee of Krishna. So, learned scholars call them Alambana, the foundation. Similarly, Uddipana is described as Uddipanastu te prokta. What is called Uddipana? Bhavam Uddapayantite. Bhava or love for Krishna, Uddapayanti. Uddipayanti means it is aroused. It brings that bhav of love for Krishna too much out of heart just by seeing some object about Krishna, just by seeing his peacock feather or seeing something, even seeing his footprints when he went. When gopis see his footprints, oh, Krishna went from this path. So all these objects, they arouse love. Uddipayantite. Te tu Shri Krishna Chandrasya gunascheta prasadhanam. So all those objects, prasadhanam means makeup or his decoration on his bodily parts, all the decorations. So his flute, his peacock feather, all these objects, even his kundala or the earrings or any sound that coming from him, those all are his bodily decorations, prasadhanam. They are all uddipana. So they arouse love about Krishna in the hearts of gopis. And in the aid, the examples are given that his flute, bugle, ankle bells, conch shell, marks on his feet, and all these marks, so all these are uddipana, examples of uddipana. So that, going back to today's verse again, so that in the purport, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is explaining that because he wants to bring about this ānanda-cinmaya-rasa, because this is such a deep rasa or love exchange between Radharani and gopis and Krishna, that he's trying to give us all these to understand, to at least we can get the mood of that love, even though we cannot experience it, but we can at least get the depth of that Shringara ras or Madhurya ras, or that amorous love between Radharani, gopis and Krishna. So that is the ras that is explained in today's verse. So it's such a deep and such a beautiful verse. ānanda-cinmaya-rasa-pratibhāvitābhis tābhir eva nija-rūpatayā kalābhiḥ Goloka eva nivasaty akhilātma-bhūto govindam ādi-puruṣaṁ ahaṁ bhajāmi. To that Govinda who is enjoying that rasa in Goloka Vrindavan, Brahmaji is saying that I offer obeisances to him. So I will stop here. And then he further actually lists all these 64 qualities. So maybe next week we can go briefly about, very quickly about all these 64 qualities, what they are, by which Krishna, they are Radharani. So Gita art or singing, Vadya art, playing musical, and all those, we'll go briefly about those. And there are also very beautiful purport further that I'll try to get into maybe next week. So it is almost 9:29. So any reflections on what we discussed today so far?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for going through this. It takes a lot of effort in reading by ourselves and understanding, but you explained so nicely and easily for us to understand. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. And again, it is to experience this, it cannot be put in words the way it is explained, Mataji. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It was a really nice class. And I think the way you explain it, we can, if not, we can at least visualize what we can expect, or how the love is between the gopis and Krishna and Radha. That's really wonderful. It comes through from you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice class, Prabhuji, and nice explanation. Not much understand, but whatever listening is good for me. और सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लगा, तो thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, nice class.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Again, I think always try to simplify this as much as possible, but all these terms, technical terms, unless we understand those, because they are so beautiful, vibhava, alambana, uddipana. When I was reading this, and maybe because we did not have class for last couple of weeks and I was working on this verse, so I read this so many times. So I was kind of myself in this rasa for last 3 weeks, because I was getting ready every time for this class, and for some or the other reason we did not have this class. So I would say that by God's grace, I enjoyed this rasa for last 3 weeks. But anyway, thank you so much.
Actually, reading all the Krishna's pastimes or any of the books, if you like, if you read it, it feels like you don't want to come out of it. You want to still continue reading it. And then the depth of the love that is expressed by Srila Prabhupada or, the acharyas are just amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. I think we'll stop here then today. Thank you so much for your association. Hare Krishna. We'll see you next week.
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। थैंक यू प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा माता जी।